Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you've ever stared at a list of PC parts and felt like you were drowning in a giant bowl of alphabet soup, well, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're demystifying motherboard form factors. You see, the motherboard is the literal foundation your entire system sits on, but trying to figure out which size you actually need, yeah, that can be incredibly confusing. So we're going to break down exactly what all these letters actually mean, what features you gain, and what you sacrifice with each size. Here's our game plan for today. First up, we'll start with the baseline standard, ATX. Second, we'll look at the sensible middle ground of micro ATX. Third, the super compact Mini ITX. Fourth, the massive E-ATX. And finally, we'll wrap up by figuring out how to choose the perfect form factor for your specific build. All right, let's dive right in with Section 1, ATX, the default choice. I like to think of ATX as the default character you select when you're just starting a new PC building game. This standard has actually been around since 1995. That is nearly 3 decades. I mean, in tech years, that's practically ancient history. But the thing is, this standard stubbornly refuses to retire simply because it just works so incredibly well. It has survived entirely different generations of processors, memory types, and graphics cards, and it still remains the dominant go-to standard you picture when someone mentions a desktop PC. What's really fascinating is why it stays so beloved by both absolute beginners and seasoned veterans. Physically, a full-sized ATX motherboard measures 12 by 9.6 inches, and that generous physical footprint is exactly what makes it so comfortable to work with. Building on an ATX board actually gives your hands room to maneuver. It completely avoids that super stressful feeling that you're, carefully trying to defuse a bomb while just plugging in a simple cable. Let's talk specs, because ATX gives you massive connectivity. You typically get 4 RAM slots supporting up to 192 gigabytes, meaning you can easily just pop in more memory later if you need it. Expansion is huge here too. You get 1 full-length PCI slot for your graphics card, plus 2 or 3 extra slots for whatever else you want. Add in 2 to 3 M.2 slots for super fast storage, 8 to 12 USB ports on the back, and honestly, endless RGB and fan headers. Oh, and fun fact, standard ATX mounting holes in a PC case will also fit the smaller boards we're about to cover, so you get ultimate flexibility. Of course, it's not without its downsides. ATX is big. If you're aiming for a really minimalist, clean desk setup, an ATX build can kind of feel like parking a truck in your bedroom. Plus, if you're only ever going to run 1 graphics card and 2 sticks of RAM, well, half of that massive board is just going to sit there completely empty, silently judging you for buying expansion slots you never ended up using. So, the takeaway here is this. ATX is your safe, forgiving bet. It's absolutely ideal for first-time builders who want that comfortable physical room to learn, gamers who already know they want easy future upgrade paths, and pretty much anyone who simply values flexibility over a compact design. Seriously, if you aren't exactly sure what you need, ATX is where you should start. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, Micro ATX, the sensible middle. So if ATX is the standard, Micro ATX is definitely the sensible middle child. It's a really smart compromise. It shrinks the length down to a snug 9.6 by 9.6 inch square. Now yes, you are sacrificing some of that maximum expansion space we just talked about, but in return, you get a much more budget-friendly price tag. While full ATX boards can easily scale up to $300 and way beyond, solid Micro ATX boards comfortably land in the $60 to $180 range. Let's look at the core specs on this sensible middle child. You still get 2 to 4 RAM slots, supporting plenty of memory for gaming or productivity. The main difference really comes down to expansion. You usually get 1 full-length PCI slot for your GPU, and maybe 1 or 2 extra slots. But let's be totally honest here. 1 GPU is realistically more than enough for the vast majority of PC users today. You still get 1 to 2 M.2 slots for storage, and a very healthy 6 to 10 rear USB ports. Basically, you get exactly what you need and nothing you don't. And that makes Micro ATX the ultimate sweet spot. It's perfectly ideal for budget gaming builds, standard office PCs, and anyone looking for a highly reliable rig without paying a premium for untouched features. You are getting almost all the performance benefits of a full ATX build, just packed into a slightly more compact, sensible package. Next up, Section 3, Mini ITX, the tiny powerhouse. We are stepping down significantly in size right now. Mini ITX measures a tiny 6.7 by 6.7 inches. The massive appeal here is pure portability. I mean, it is small enough to fit inside a compact case that you can easily slide under a desk, set right on a living room TV stand, or even throw in a backpack to take to a LAN party. But please, do not let the tiny size fool you. These little boards are engineered to handle the exact same modern CPUs and GPUs as their much bigger brothers. However, shrinking down this far means you have to make some sacrifices. First off, you're limited to exactly 2 RAM slots, maxing out around 64 gigabytes. Expansion is incredibly restricted. You get 1 single PCIe slot. That's it. That means a single GPU setup is absolutely mandatory here. No extra capture cards, no extra sound cards. And because everything is packed so incredibly tight and you have fewer fan headers, cooling requires really careful case selection and meticulous cable management. If you don't plan your airflow right, you run a very high risk of your PC sounding literally like a jet engine trying to take off. Even though you usually pay a premium for that condensed engineering, often ranging from $90 all the way to $350, Mini ITX is a total marvel. It is perfectly ideal for small desk setups, living room home theater PCs, and those portable LAN party rigs we mentioned. If you prioritize portability and a tiny footprint over any future expandability, Mini ITX completely nails the brief, giving you a full-featured system without dominating the room. Let's swing the pendulum all the way in the other direction. Section 4, E-ATX, Maximum Overkill. 256 gigabytes. That is the sheer amount of RAM you can routinely support across the 8 memory slots often found on these massive extended ATX boards. E-ATX is basically the motherboard equivalent of a giant 2008 full tower PC case. Measuring 12 by 13 inches or even more, it is massive. It's bigger than most standard desks can comfortably handle, and it is designed for pure, unadulterated, extreme performance. With E-ATX, your expansion options are practically limitless. You want multi-GPU setups? Done. You want 4 to 6 NVMe drives? Easy. You have room for all the graphics cards, capture cards, network adapters, and honestly, you probably have enough room to plug in a miniature toaster if you really wanted to. The connectivity is just ridiculous, with massive amounts of USB ports, dual Ethernet, and enough RGB and fan headers to make your PC look like the bridge of a sci-fi spaceship. But remember, overkill is the entire point here. E-ATX is ideal for high-end workstation builds, content creators handling massive rendering projects, and those intense multi-GPU enthusiasts. It's really for people who want data center level performance at home and, well, have the endless budgets to match it. Since some ultra-premium boards can easily top $700, it's the ultimate bragging right. Alright, we've seen them all. Section 5, choosing your form factor. Let's balance that space and budget. So to make your final decision, look at this table and think about what you value most. If you want the flexible standard with generous expansion, you go ATX. If you're a budget-conscious gamer wanting a snug fit without overpaying, Micro ATX is your answer. For a highly portable rig where you're okay with restricted expansion, step down to Mini ITX. And if you have an unlimited budget and demand absolute overkill performance, jump up to E-ATX. At the end of the day, it all comes down to balancing your physical space, your budget, and your need for expansion. So, quick question for you. I want you to think about the setup you're using right now. What form factor is currently sitting under or on top of your desk? Did you go for the massive expansion of an ATX, or did you challenge yourself with a tiny Mini ITX build? You know, understanding the motherboard is really just the very first step of the journey. You successfully decoded the foundation that your entire PC sits on. But a foundation is literally nothing without the house built on top of it. What about the parts that actually plug into those slots? How do the CPU, the GPU, and the RAM actually interface with this board to bring your system to life? Well, that is the next great puzzle to solve. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep learning.